Hello and welcome back to Women's Football Talk, the YouTube channel that brings you all the latest news and stories from around the world of women's football. But before we get into today's video, make sure you smash that subscribe button and turn on the post notification bell so you never miss a video of ours. So today it's a little something different. We are at the Christmas break in the WSL and technically just one game short of the halfway stage of this season. So we thought we'd have a look at one player that has impressed from each team so far this season. So we're going to go through every club and I will tell you who I think has been the best player for their respective club and why. So starting off with Arsenal, and for me it is Victoria Pelova, the Dutch international midfielder in her first full season with Arsenal, having joined back in January of 2023, and she has done really well so far this season. In the 10 games that Arsenal have played in the WSL alone, she has 1 goal and 4 assists. The assists have her joint top with Chelsea's Niamh Charles for most assists this season, and with Leah Volti, Kim Little and the ever-changing Arsenal midfield, Pelova has been very consistent and has done really well in that midfield, and yeah, she's flourishing so well this season, and it looks like she's just growing into one of the best players in the midfield, not just for Arsenal but in the WSL on a whole. And she's been really well, and I think the way she's adapted to the WSL, we saw her take a bit of time last season when she came in, minutes mainly coming from the bench and whatnot, which isn't really a surprise considering the new league and the step up from the Frauen Eredivisie to the WSL is obviously a big gap. But with how that she has gone about it this season, she just looks like a more rounded player, able to create chances, able to get the ball back for Arsenal when need be. I mean, quick stat here via SofaScore, she has recovered the ball 5.3 times per game, which is just absolutely brilliant. And then I mean, if we just take the game against Leicester City, scoring a goal and getting 2 assists when they were 2-0 down at Leicester to end up winning 6-2, it just shows the impact that she's having on not just Arsenal but on the game as a whole, and it's absolutely fantastic to see what Pelova has been able to do so far for United Bell this season. Next up it's Aston Villa, and for them it's obviously been a tricky start to the season compared to what we saw 12 months ago where they were flying high and flourishing. But again, for me it's Rachel Daly who's continuing to shine for them. The English forward is continuing to score all the goals for Aston Villa this season, 4 WSL goals so far, which is a quarter of the goals that Villa have scored in the WSL this season. And yeah, it's one of them where whilst she may not get the same amount of goals that she had last season, which sort of win the Golden Boot, the Player of the Year award and whatnot, her goals are proving once again very key for Aston Villa against the teams around it, as Villa try and move up and around the table. And I think it's just what Villa need, consistency going forward, and having Rachel Daly consistently scoring the goals is still very influential, and let's hope Rachel Daly for Villa's sake can continue to deliver in 2024, and I think she will continue to do so. Villa will probably get better the more fitness they get, the more probably possible signings that they do in this January transfer window coming up, and I think she will just continue to show why she is such an elite forward at this level. So yeah, Villa will be hoping that that form can continue in 2024. Next up for Brighton and Hove Albion is of course Elizabeth Turland. The Norwegian forward has 7 goals to her name, putting her joint second in the WSL scoring charts this season, but that also happens to be 6 more than the next highest scoring Brighton player, which is crazy when they've scored 10 goals in the WSL as a team, and Turland has the most of them. I mean, there's been times when we've seen the 22-year-old battle it out for them. I mean, it was only a couple of weeks ago Turland managed to get 2 late goals as they earned a draw against Leicester City. She was firing against Manchester United earlier on this season. So whilst Brighton have struggled with the goals under Melissa Phillips so far this season, the one key player that's been consistent week in week out has been Elizabeth Turland. So to have 7 goals from the 10 games is absolutely fantastic for Turland, but it's this one thing where Brighton will definitely need to improve going forward, is having a more consistent goal scorer other than Turland, because while she's doing absolutely fantastically and she'll continue taking chances and will undoubtedly continue to be a fantastic player for Brighton this season, if she gets an injury, that's when you start to worry for Brighton as to, like, who do you look for the goals next, who does this next for them, and steps up in place of Turland, who's been absolutely fantastic. And it wouldn't surprise me if in 12-24 months time we're talking about her getting a move to a top side in European football if she can continue her scoring form, because at 22 years old, young forward, many teams will be liking the look of her so far in the early stages of her career. Next up is Bristol City, and our player of the season so far is Amelie Thestrup. And whilst for Bristol City it's been a difficult start to them back in the WSL, Thestrup has been very key to give them a fighting chance so far in the league, scoring 5 goals so far, and has been one of their go-to players when it comes to the attacking output. And yeah, I think Thestrup definitely has taken well to life in Bristol so far. Obviously coming in from PSV, has been in a team that's obviously, we knew Bristol City were going to struggle coming in from the Championship. The quality of difference from the Championship to the WSL is obviously a big golfing difference. They struggled to get life going well, so at the start they've picked up some points over recent weeks. They're looking okay. They're not fully blown away in a relegation scrap, so you can say that they're down already, but it's going to be a long run for Bristol City, and I think if Thestrup can continue doing what she's doing, then that would be absolutely fantastic for the Robins. Another honourable mention, or one or two, is definitely Olivia Clark in goal. The young Wales goalkeepers obviously had to come in with Fran Bentley being injured, who was their number 1 last season. She's done really well in the circumstances given to her, and again Abby Harrison once again continuing to show why she's been so strong for Bristol City over the years, and working really hard for Lauren Smith. But yeah, for me, Amelie Thestrup has definitely been their player of this season so far. Next up is Chelsea. Now, there's a plethora of players we could have chose from for Chelsea, whether it be Erin Cuthbert, Lauren James, Niamh Charles, but for me, I have gone with Aggie Beever-Jones. The young English midfielder has been absolutely fantastic so far. 7 appearances, only starting once so far, 5 goals to her name. It's just absolutely fantastic. The way she's taken to this Chelsea team, considering she's been on loan to Everton previously, it's just so nonchalantly. She's taken it like a duck to water. Like, she's been so well in this team. She looks really hard to get her out of the Chelsea team, whether it's coming off the bench in the starting 11, which I would imagine going forward Emma Hayes will probably look at doing more in the new year for the second half of the season. Obviously, any potential manager coming in to replace Emma Hayes will look at Beever-Jones and say, we've got an absolute star on our hands. We can't be affording to lose her. 20 years old. What she's doing is absolutely fantastic, and it's one where you're thinking she's getting close to an England senior call-up. It's been talked about that in the last international break, whether when it comes to the February break, Serena Wiegman will look at her. Compared to what we've seen of Aggie Beever-Jones previously when she was at loan at Everton, like I said, to how well she started this season, for me it goes without saying that she is Chelsea's player of the year, just because of how well she has started so far to her senior career at Chelsea. Next up, it's Everton, and Courtney Brosnan is their player of the year. It's been, again, hard to pick a player that's been really stand out for Everton so far, but Brosnan has done absolutely fantastic. The Irish keeper has the 3rd highest save percentage in the league out of all the goalkeepers, and she looks really well. I mean, in all 3 of Everton's wins so far this season against Liverpool, Aston Villa, West Ham, she's put in absolutely top performances. And I think Brosnan has done really well. I mean, keeping Emily Ramsey out of the starting lineup, because obviously we saw how well Ramsey did when she was on loan for Manchester United, but then they brought her in more permanently this time around. And Brosnan has done really well, and I think with a struggling Everton side who sits 7th in the WSL, they haven't really looked as good as people probably thought, or certainly I haven't thought, but Brosnan has definitely been their star player so far. Next up, it's Leicester City, and for me, their player of the season is Lena Pettermann, the German international, signed in the summer and has looked really well for Leicester City. 2 goals in the first 2 games for the Foxes, which they started off really well to this WSL season, but then they've struggled so far elsewhere in the season. They've seen them slip down the table, but Pettermann is that one player that consistently someone will be there. When she scored against Everton, the only goal of that game, and it was the last time Leicester actually won in the WSL. So what Pettermann has done so far, and the way she's adapted to the WSL and to how Willie Kirk's side are set to be playing, she's been absolutely fantastic. Again, another team that have had a few players who've been absolutely fantastic. Jutta Rantala, another summer signing, Sam Tierney on the defensive side, definitely been very impressive with those 3 for Leicester City this season. I think for them to continue and to grow in 2024, they need to have more players consistently performing, and as well as Pettermann continuing to shine for them this season. Next up, it is Liverpool, and for me that is Marie Hobinger, the Austrian, joined from FC Zurich in the summer, and she's just fitted in so well to Liverpool this season. Only Man United's Katie Zelem has created more chances in the first half of the season than Hobinger. She scored some goals this season so far, and at 22-year-old, again, very exciting prospect. Not much personally was known from Hobinger before she joined this season, but one player I'm very excited by with what she's done for Liverpool this season, and I think Matt Beard has a real gem on their hands, and I think she will continue to shine. And what a player she has been, absolutely fantastic so far. Next up, Manchester City, it's of course Khadija Bonny-Short, top of the WSL players for goal scorer, absolutely killing it week in, week out. I mean, scoring hat-tricks left, right and centre, getting braces every other game. Like, she's just continuing to show why she's one of the best forwards, not just in the WSL but in world football, consistently putting 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 performances for Manchester City, in a team that I was expecting to struggle this season, but they have looked so much better, and Khadija Shaw is definitely key of that. Also, you look at Jill Roord, Lauren Hemp, even Kiara Keaton in goal. Like, Man City have been so much better than what I was expecting from them. But 9 goals, 9 games for Bonny-Short. I mean, you can't ask for more from her, and continuing to shine where she is. And I don't think there's going to be any slowing her down in 2024 for the race for the Golden Boot. Next up is Manchester United. Now, a team that we've seen struggle from last season and fall off a bit, but their player of the season for me is Melvin Millard, on loan from French side Lyon. She's took to this Man United team really well, getting some goals, having some key performances, and then she's just knowing what she's doing and the creating opportunities that she's having, the chances she's having, been able to set up other players so far. She looks really well, and I think Manchester United would be in for an absolute great deal if they could sign her permanently. Just the way she's doing things, and you could see how well she's done so far. Like, you see on social media, all Man United fans loving her, raving about her, wanting for the club to be able to sign her permanently, which would be absolutely fantastic for them, having a more consistent finisher. And I think Millard, definitely Man United's player of the year. Again, another team that's got a couple of honourable mentions. Katie Zelem, absolutely fantastic in the midfield. Nikita Paris, not just in the WSL but in all competitions this season. Paris has looked really well for Man United, but definitely Melvin Millard has been their player of the season. Penultimately, we are at Tottenham Hotspur, and for them it's obviously Martha Thomas. The way she took to life at Spurs has been absolutely brilliant. I mean, Bethany England missing the first couple of months through injury. So everyone was like, well, who are Spurs going to be able to get in to score the goals? They bring in Martha Thomas from Manchester United, and she started absolutely brilliantly. 6 goals in their first 4 games, which saw Spurs win 3 of them. They then took a bit of a struggle, but she has then picked up the goals over the last week or so, including getting that winner in the all-important North London derby against Arsenal to give Spurs their first ever North London derby win in the WSL over Arsenal. So yeah, Martha Thomas has taken to life under Robert Wilhelm's side absolutely brilliantly, and it's going to be interesting to see how well Thomas can do in 2024, especially with Bethany England back in fit. Again, a few players who I've seen very impressive with that team. Celine Bizet, second season at Spurs now. She looks more comfortable, more rounded, and definitely knows what's being asked of her more. Grace Clinton, the young midfielder on loan from Manchester United, has been absolutely stellar so far for them. And then Olga Artonen, another summer signing, one who again I wasn't aware of prior to her joining Spurs, but again has looked absolutely brilliant so far this season. And then finally, West Ham United, a team that has really struggled this season. There hasn't been many players you can say stood out for Rianne Skinner's side, but for me it has to be the Japanese international Riko Ueki, West Ham's top scorer with 3 goals, and yeah, since her summer move from Tokyo Verdy Beleza, she's looked absolutely brilliant, and she averaged a 3.1 shots per game, and it's one of them where you're looking at West Ham for a bit of shining light to turn their season around. Ueki has definitely been key to that, and will continue to be key to that for West Ham this season, because I think without her, West Ham really would be struggling a lot more further. Well, they would be bottom of the table, and I don't think they would have any points in what has been a very hard season for the Hammers so far. So yeah, definitely Riko Ueki has been West Ham's standout player this season. Right, that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments section below who your player of the season for each team has been so far. Whether you agree with our list or disagree with it, let me know. In the meantime, make sure you like and subscribe and turn on the post notification bell so you never miss a video of ours, and that you're following us on Twitter and on Instagram for all the latest news and stories from around the world of women's football. And in the meantime, we'll see you soon.